Hey viewers, welcome to African Tales by Afi. Please kindly click the subscribe button to get notified for more amazing stories. The morning sun had barely risen over the hills when Tari walked out of his old farmhouse, stretching his arms wide. The dew on the grass sparkled like little stars. Birds chirped in the distance, cows mooed gently, and the air smelled of fresh earth. His farm, though not rich, was filled with life. He rubbed his eyes. Another day of hard work. He had to fix the chicken coop, check the cornfield, and maybe, just maybe, take a little nap under the mango tree later in the afternoon. But just as Tari was about to grab his tools, he heard a strange sound. Arrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Tari frowned, wiping his hands on his trousers. He grabbed his straw hat and jogged toward the sound. At the bend in the road, a sleek silver car sat crooked, the hood open like a yawning mouth. Beside it stood a girl, no, a woman, wearing a floral dress and sneakers. She had big sunglasses perched on her head, and her hair was tied in a neat bun. She looked completely lost. "Need help?" Tari called out, slowing down as he approached. The woman looked up in surprise, her eyes wide. "Oh, I didn't see anyone around for miles." "Yes, please. My car just stopped. I think it overheated." Tari peeked under the hood. Engine's boiling. Probably been running it too hard. You city folks love to speed, eh? She gave a half laugh. "Ivy," she said, holding out her hand. "And yes, I guess I do. I came to stay in one of the rental cabins down the road. Wanted a break from the noise." "Tari," he said, shaking her hand with a warm grin. "And welcome to the quietest place you'll ever find." With a few clever taps, a splash of water, and some waiting, the car coughed back to life. Ivy looked at Tari like he had just performed magic. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "Don't worry about it. But if you get bored of that fancy cabin, come by the farm. I've got goats, chickens, and one lazy cat who thinks she owns the house." They both laughed. Ivy waved as she drove off, her car humming gently down the dusty road. The next day, just after lunch, Tari heard footsteps crunching on the gravel path to his house. "I hope your invitation still stands," Ivy said, holding a bottle of water and her phone. "No signal. No water. And the cabin smells like old socks." Tari chuckled. "You've come to the right place then." He handed her a mug of cool zobo and led her around the farm. The goats sniffed her curiously. One even tried to nibble her shoe. "Hey," she cried, stepping back, "is it trying to eat me?" "No, that's Muffin. She likes stylish shoes," Tari teased. As the day passed, Ivy helped him feed the chickens, carry fresh eggs, and even tried milking a cow, with little success. "This is harder than typing on 3 phones at once," she exclaimed, hands covered in milk. Tari laughed so hard he nearly dropped the egg basket. "You've never touched a cow before?" "Nope. I've only ever touched leather handbags," she joked. They sat on a wooden bench under the mango tree as the sky turned golden. Ivy sipped another glass of zobo, watching the wind blow gently through the cornfields. "It's peaceful here," she whispered. "Too peaceful. It scares me a little." Tari looked at her, curious. "Why would peace scare you?" She hesitated. "Because I don't know who I am without the rush, without the meetings, the emails, the pressure. Out here, it's just me." Tari nodded slowly. Then maybe this is the perfect place to find out. That night, Ivy didn't return to the cabin. She slept on the couch inside Tari's farmhouse, wrapped in a cozy blanket and surrounded by the soft hum of night insects. Tari sat on the porch, looking at the stars. Something about her felt different, not just her city ways or her awkwardness around goats, but something deeper. Inside the house, Ivy smiled in her sleep, dreaming of goats in suits and cows attending board meetings. And that was how it began, the journey of Ivy and Tari, the city girl and the farmer, from strangers to something more. Ivy had now been on the farm for 2 weeks. What was supposed to be a weekend escape had turned into daily walks with goats, early morning chores, and evenings under the stars with Tari. She still hadn't returned to the noisy city. And truthfully, she didn't miss it. Each morning began with the rooster's loud kokoroko, and Ivy grumbling under her breath.
"Must that chicken scream like it owns the world?" she would say, stumbling into the kitchen where Tari would be making yam porridge or akra. Tari always teased her. "Don't insult Senior Rooster. He has more discipline than both of us." They laughed a lot. Tari enjoyed Ivy's curiosity. She asked questions like, "Do cows get lonely? Why do goats have rectangular eyes? Is it true that chickens dream of flying?" One afternoon, as they repaired the old chicken pen together, Ivy slipped and fell into a pile of hay. "Help! I'm drowning in straw," she yelled, flailing her arms dramatically. Tari bent over, laughing so hard that tears came to his eyes. "You're the only person who can make falling look like a theater show." But the joy that filled the farm took a strange turn one sunny morning when a sleek black car pulled up by the gate. Tari was fixing the fence. Ivy was watering the plants. A tall man stepped out of the car wearing dark sunglasses and a serious face. He looked like someone straight out of a fashion magazine. "Ivy," the man called, his voice sharp and serious. Ivy froze. The watering can slipped from her hand. "Osays," she whispered, slowly turning around. Tari looked from the stranger to Ivy. "You know him?" Osays walked up to them with long, confident steps. "I've been looking for you. What are you doing here, on a farm in the middle of nowhere?" Ivy didn't answer. She stared at the ground, her hands trembling slightly. "Ivy," Osays continued, "everyone thought you vanished. You were at the top of your game. The youngest executive at Metrocorp. And now, you're playing with chickens?" Tari stepped forward, protective. "She's not playing. She's working. Living. Growing." Osays raised a brow. "And who are you? Her new project?" "I'm her friend," Tari said, steady and firm. "And you're standing on her peace." There was silence. Even Muffin the goat stopped chewing. Finally, Ivy spoke, softly but clearly. "Osays. I didn't run away. I walked away. That life, it stopped making sense to me. I needed space to breathe. But now you're hiding," Osays said. "I came because there's an offer. A big one. Another firm wants you. High salary. Europe." Tari's face dropped. "Europe?" Ivy turned to him, eyes wide. "Tari, I didn't ask for this." He nodded. "I know. But, do you want it?" She didn't answer. "Not yet." The next day, Osays left without an answer. Ivy promised to think.
Meanwhile, life returned to the rhythm of the farm. But something had changed. Tari became quieter. Ivy became thoughtful. Then one morning, she was gone. A note lay on the kitchen table. I need to see who I am in the city. I'll be back. Ivy. Tari held the note like it might tear in his hand. He whispered, "Please come back. Here is the final chapter of your folk tale." 2 weeks had passed. The farm felt colder without Ivy, even though the sun still rose like it always did. Tari worked twice as hard, as if keeping busy would quiet the aching in his chest. But every corner of the farm reminded him of her. The mango tree where they sat and talked. The fence she once fell over, laughing. Even Muffin the goat seemed to bleat more sadly. Mrs. Hargrove, their nearest neighbor, came by with a basket of garden eggs one morning. "She'll be back, boy," she said kindly. Sometimes, the heart needs to wander before it finds home. Tari nodded. But what if the city takes her back for good? Mrs. Hargrove smiled and tapped his chest. Then you hold on to what you built here. With or without her. Meanwhile, in the city, Ivy walked through shiny buildings, past billboards and office windows, but nothing excited her. Not the fancy job offer, not the glamorous meetings. Even her favorite cafe didn't taste right. Everywhere she went, something felt missing. Her heart ached when she passed a flower stall. "These sunflowers remind me of..." "Never mind," she mumbled, holding back tears. That night, she stared at the ceiling of her hotel room and whispered, "Why does everything feel gray?" Back at the farm, Tari found himself near the old toolshed. He hadn't been inside it in months. He opened the creaky door and looked around. Then he whispered to himself, "She always said this would make a perfect cafe." The next morning, Tari rolled up his sleeves and got to work. He swept the floor, fixed the leaking roof, painted the old wood. He cleared space for tables, hung fairy lights from the ceiling, and built a tiny chalkboard menu. "Welcome to Hope and Honey Cafe," he muttered proudly. 1 week later, a dusty taxi stopped in front of the farm. Ivy stepped out, clutching a bag. Her heart thumped loudly. She took a deep breath and walked up the familiar path. Then she saw it, the cafe shed. The sign read, "Hope and Honey Cafe, inspired by Ivy." Tears filled her eyes. She stepped inside, where Tari stood wiping down the counter. He froze. "Ivy?" "I came back," she said quietly. "The city, it doesn't feel like home anymore." Tari stepped closer. "And what does?" "You," she said, her voice trembling. "This place. The goats, the trees. The way you look at me when I'm carrying a basket of corn like it's made of gold." Tari chuckled. "Because it is made of gold. My heart's gold." They stood there, smiling, eyes locked. "I don't want to run anymore," she said. "I want to build. I want to grow. With you." Tari swallowed hard, then reached into his pocket. "I was saving this, for the right time," he said nervously. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple silver ring. Worn at the edges, but full of meaning. "It was my papa's," he said. "He gave it to my mama with nothing but a promise and a pocket full of yam seeds." He knelt on one knee. "Ivy, you walked into my life with city heels and a flat car battery. But you changed everything. You brought color, laughter, and way too many questions about chicken dreams. Will you marry me? Ivy's eyes welled up. Only if Muffin can be my flower goat. They both burst out laughing. Yes, she cried, throwing her arms around him. The wedding came a few months later. It was held under the big mango tree. The entire village came, Mrs. Hargrove, the postman, even the grumpy man who never smiled. He smiled that day. Ivy wore a dress made from simple cotton and wildflowers in her hair. Tari wore his best shirt, shoes polished with banana peels. And yes, Muffin the goat trotted down the aisle wearing a garland of marigolds. The vows were sweet and full of laughter. Afterward, the cafe hosted the celebration. Plates of jollof rice, roasted corn, mango punch, and cupcakes were passed around. Children danced in circles. Elders told stories. As the seasons passed, the farm flourished. The cafe grew, too, hosting storytelling evenings, cooking workshops, and community feasts. Ivy wrote a book called From Glass Towers to Goat Tracks, and it became a bestseller. Readers came from far and wide to see the cafe that had inspired the pages. One rainy morning, Tari found Ivy staring at the storm clouds. I think, she said slowly, I think there's someone else joining us soon. Tari's eyes widened. You mean? Ivy nodded. A month later, the town prepared for baby showers and lullaby lessons. When the baby finally arrived, during a wild thunderstorm, of course, Mrs. Hargrove was there, and so was Tari, holding Ivy's hand and whispering, "You've got this." They named her Amara, which means grace. Years later, under the same mango tree, Tari and Ivy sat side by side, watching little Amara chase Muffin's grandkids around the field. Tari turned to Ivy. Still thinking about Europe? She smiled. Not even in